In this episode 84 of the Daily Hustle, we are starting a new series talking about the 13 steps to becoming a successful and proactive person. We're dialing it all into this one big summary of what could really change your life and your business. Also, we talk about direct calls to Vietnam.
Broadcasting from the box that rocks and Thrive15.com world headquarters, it's the Daily Hustle with Daniel McKenna.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's episode 84 of the Daily Hustle Show. Over to my left, Marshall Morris. Over here, Daniel McKenna. Episode 84, and we're talking about the 13 steps to becoming a successful and proactive person. Marshall, how you feeling over there?
I feel proactive today, Dan.
You feel proactive? How are you doing? Oh, proactive.
I'm doing proactive.
Doing proactive. Good. Okay. In this episode, we're summing up we've talked about a lot of these specific points in separate episodes here, Marshall. And this is kind of the granddaddy of them all. It's kind of putting all these points together into one neat summary that if you just followed these 13 steps, your life is going to become much more proactive in the direction of which you want it to go. Kind of a big deal. Before we jump into this, just like a little teaser here, of these steps here that we're going to talk about today, are these common things for most people? Are these things that people normally do? Or are these things you would have to intentionally choose, and therefore by intentionally choosing, you can actually choose which way you want your life and your business to go?
Yeah, that's the whole point of this episode, is being proactive and consciously choosing success habits rather than being reactive and defaulting to what society might want you to do.
This is episode 84 of the Daily Hustle. And so now it's time for Sam's favorite segment, information about the number 84.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know there is a town called 84 in Pennsylvania?
Wow.
Where are you from? I'm from 84. Town called that, Pennsylvania, 84. Did you know 84 is the code for international direct dial phone calls to Vietnam?
Did not know that.
Really?
Did not.
Could have sworn you knew that.
Nope.
No? Okay. Did you know 84 is how many Earth years it takes Uranus to orbit the sun once?
It's a lot of years.
It's a lot of years.
It's a lot of years. We're on our way.
If we counted Earth years the way that, Uranus, it's a one time around the Earth. Like, people are like, how old are you? You're like, half a year old.
Half a year.
I'm like, quarter of a year old.
Yeah, maybe.
It'd be a much different metric system, and it'd be kind of harder to keep up with. You have to do math every time.
Yeah, I'm glad we don't.
And lastly, 84, 8-time Pro Bowl tight end Shannon Sharpe wore 84, played 14 seasons in the NFL, earning all-decade team honors for the 1990s, was the first tight end to ever amass over 10,000 receiving yards. Hall of Famer.
Pretty impressive.
Shannon Sharpe. There you go. This is all this information is from a previous Thrive 15 episode here, Marshall. Way back in, I believe, 2015. Tell the people at home about the Thrive15.com platform where they could find this sort of episode roughly 2 years ago, as well as consistent new episodes talking about all things entrepreneurial business.
Yeah, Thrive15.com, the world's best business training platform. You have to get on there. You try it out for $1. You get thousands and thousands of episodes just like this, where we're teaching you the practical steps, the practical things needed to grow and start a successful business. You learn from people like David Robinson, who played for the San Antonio Spurs. You learn from people like Michael Levine, the PR consultant for Nike, Michael Jackson, Prince, Pizza Hut, and a whole host of celebrities. You learn from Lee Cockrell, the former executive vice president of Walt Disney World Resort. And we talk about the success principles like we are in this episode of The Daily Hustle. every single episode. They're broken down into 15-minute chunks so that they are very palatable for your day. It's laugh and learn. It's called Edutainment, entertaining education. You got to check it out. It's only $1. Get on there. Sign up for your first month for $1 today at thrive15.com.
Real talk. I didn't even talk to you about this. Real talk. Had a young gentleman, dude, stop me at Target the other day because he saw I was wearing a Thrive hat.
Oh.
And he said, hey, I just watched the episode on strategic planning, and it really changed how I'm like approaching my business. It's like making a big difference.
Yeah.
We were talking about the marketing calendar and the Dream 100 and all that.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
It was very cool that you're shopping at Target.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this here. 13 steps to becoming a successful and proactive person. Let's dive into it. Step number 1. Define a crystal clear description of the person you want to become. Faith, family, finances, friendships, and fitness. The 5 Fs. Marshall, what do you got here for step number 1?
Yeah, so you got to become the person that you want to be. So immediately start designing the life that you want. So that gentleman that stopped you in Target, the really cool thing about that is he's proactively taking moves towards what he wants, what he's doing for his business. And so you have to address the F6 goals: faith, family, finance, friendships, fitness, and fun.
Oh,
and
wow.
so
Fun wasn't even on this original outline here.
Yeah, so defining those different goals will help you design the life that you want, okay? So rather than living the life that is convenient for you or convenient for other people for you to live, you must define what your goals are in those F6. And so I'm going to say them again: faith, family, finances, friendships, fitness, and fun. What are your goals for those F6 goals? And begin working towards that. If you do that, then you will ultimately be a happier individual. And because you are a happier individual, more people will want to spend more time around you.
Got some mystic statistics, some notable quotables here. Fact. According to Forbes, in an article, Most Americans Are Unhappy at Work, it says 52.3% are unhappy at work. According to a new report by the Conference Board, the New York-based nonprofit research group, that's over half, unhappy at work, Marshall. Fact, only 43% of survey respondents said that achieving the American dream is possible in this economy, according to the recent survey from personal finance site LearnVest and Chase Blueprint. So we've got more than half of people are unhappy at work. Got close to half of people that say, well, not only are we unhappy at work, there's not much we can do about it. This is the best we can do. What are your thoughts on that here, Marshall? Because we just talked about describing crystal clear description of who you want to become in those 6 key areas. Maybe you don't have a family, or maybe you don't have a faith, or maybe you don't have a friendship. I don't know. But these are the key areas for like, this is in this area of my life. I want this. But we're talking about how half of people are unhappy at work and close to half say it doesn't matter because there's nothing else we can do anyway. What are your thoughts on these here, Marshall?
Yeah, you have to become that happy person. Nobody likes to live in sadness. Nobody likes to live in unhappiness. And so you got to ask yourself, what is the core root of that unhappiness? And then begin making the strides in order to improve it. Because until you are working towards improving it, you should not complain. You should not, make those excuses for why you are unhappy if you're not willing to improve it as well. And so you see this a lot is, hey, I am unhappy, or hey, I'm not fulfilling my goals. But at the same time, I'm also not working towards improving the things that I'm unhappy with. So first step is to identify what those goals are and make strides towards improving those things. And then as a little bit of encouragement is it can be done. I work with a number of different clients that are achieving what they believe is their American dream, and they come from very humble beginnings. They aren't multi-millionaire business owners. They're starting out as people like you and me. They're just real people that are building a real business with a real product or service, and they're having success at doing it. So if you need some examples of that, I encourage you to go to thrive15.com/testimonials, and you can read about some of those businesses that we're helping.
So you're saying it is possible to not be the half of Americans who hate what they're doing and also think it can't get any better.
That's right. It is possible.
So you're saying you can choose to live a life that you actually want to live.
That's right.
Is this easy? Is it that easy? Can I just say, I would like to be a millionaire, and I would like to have a lot of free time, and I would like to have a lot of friends. Is it that easy?
Yeah, you got to make the decision. The decision is easy. The work is hard.
Oh, so there's work involved after that.
Yeah, you got to work.
Ooh. Well, here's some Stephen Covey here for the people at home. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says, but until a person can say deeply and honestly, I am what I am today because of the choices I made yesterday, that person cannot say, I choose otherwise. Ooh. Marshall, what's he saying here?
You gotta live with the results of what your previous decisions are. And so whether you make a decision right or wrongly, you must live with the consequences, and accepting those consequences is part of life. And so if you're going to choose to make good decisions, then you will ultimately reap great reward. But if you choose to make no decision or bad decisions, then you will also reap those consequences as well.
So you're saying if I'm currently unhappy, it's my fault?
That's right.
If I'm currently broke, then that's my fault?
I would not say it's your fault that you're broke, but I would say to remain broke is your fault.
If I don't have, a family relationship like I wish I had, is that my fault?
I'm not saying that it is your fault that you have a bad family relationship, but it is your fault if you allow that to remain forever and always a bad relationship.
If I don't have, friends that push me in a positive manner, that don't, align with my life goals, that I just have friends that I can hang out with because they're friends, is that my fault?
If your friends have turned bad, that is not your fault. The fact that you continue to remain friends with them is your fault.
So what you and Stephen Covey are saying is, because we just said you can choose to have a life that you want to have, or at least you can choose to work towards the life you want to have. And Stephen Covey is saying where you are now is based on the decisions that you made yesterday, and until a person can deeply and honestly own that, instead of saying, well, it's the government, it's my boss, it's my mom, it's my dad, I'm here because the system is rigged. Until you can honestly say, okay, I'm here because of the choices I made yesterday, I cannot choose otherwise. Do you agree with Covey?
Yeah, Stephen Covey's the man.
Here's some Michael Hyatt here for you, talking about establishing a game plan for your life. And this is the segue into step 2. He says, what could be a better use of your time than establishing a game plan for your life? So we just talked about choosing to, in those 6 key areas, I choose to live in these sort of ways. I choose to make these sort of decisions. And Michael Hyatt saying, what could be a better use of your time than establishing a game plan for your life? You're choosing, right? So step 2 is define what makes you happy and what irritates your ideal schedule and life rhythm. Define what matters. What do you got here, Marshall?
Yeah, you got to figure out what is the sustainable rhythm for your life. And once you've defined that, then you got to be proactive about guarding that. So figure out how many hours in the morning do you need to be working on your business? How many hours during the day? When can you work on your business at night? What do I need to be spending my time on? And so I get questions from Thrivers all the time. How should I be splitting up my time? How do I work on my business but not upset, my individual personal relationships with my significant other? But the whole point is you have got to define what time you're going to spend in each of those areas, because if you try and find that time, you'll never find that. So figure out what is sustainable, and it might take a few weeks to get into that sustainable rhythm and work towards that sustainable rhythm, but you always got to define it and then work towards it. That's the important thing here.
Here's some Russell Simmons, founder of Def Jam Records. Russell Simmons has a very cool life story. He says, The goal is to be able to live your life the way Michael Jordan played basketball or Marvin Gaye sang a song. To be able to feel the way you feel when you laugh at a joke, but to feel that way all the time. So Russell Simmons is like, here's kind of the goal. And then here's Michael Gerber, best-selling author of E-Myth Revisited. Says, I believe it's true that the difference between great people and everyone else is that great people create their lives actively, while everyone else is created by their lives, passively waiting to see where life takes them. So we're talking about defining what makes you happy and what irritates your schedule and life rhythm. Defining, okay, these are the things, these are my 6 things I talked about. These are the 6 things in which I'm laying down my goals and what I want to be. Okay, now how do I hit those 6 things? Well, I would have to do this and do this and do this. Okay. These are the 6 things I need to do to be happy. What is it that's irritating my schedule? What is it that's making it my life rhythm not hit these 6 things? Defining what those things are is that second step. These are the things that work, that make me happy. These are the things that don't make me happy.
Exactly.
That get in the way of those 6 things.
Irritants.
Okay. Step 3. Define what you are willing to do to achieve your ideal lifestyle and schedule. Define what you're willing to do. So, you say, okay, here's the 6 things I've identified. These are the things that make me happy. These are the things that don't make me happy. Now we're talking about what are you willing to do to hit those things that make you happy, to hit that ideal lifestyle and schedule. So, if your ideal lifestyle and schedule is to say, I want to be making X amount of dollars per month, and I want to work 30 hours a week, so I have more time to golf, or I have more time to volunteer. Well, what are you willing to do to achieve that lifestyle? Or maybe you're saying, I want to build an empire. I want to have a huge company. I want to make millions of dollars. I want to be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want. Okay, what are you willing to do to hit that? What are you willing to do to hit that lifestyle and schedule? Talk about that a little bit here, Marshall.
Yeah, so for the people that want the time freedom of not working in the business all the time, you got to be able to work ahead of where you are going. So if you want that time freedom, you're going to probably have to put in 60, 80, 100-hour work weeks. Elon Musk, believes that work is like worship. Work is religion for him. It's religious. It's super important to him. He's gone on record to say work is more important than my family. But he wants to be able to provide for it. His big goal is living on Mars and dying alone. That is his. That is like his big thing. That doesn't mean that has to be your big thing, but he is making sacrifices, popular or unpopular choices, that he has a very clear vision for where he is going. But he knows in order to fulfill that vision and that expectation for his life, then he absolutely has to do the things now and work these 80, 100-hour work weeks in order to get there. So super important that everybody grasps this. If you want a lifetime of freedom, a lifetime of time freedom, a lifetime of financial freedom, you're probably going to have to make the short-term sacrifices. What am I willing to? What is within the boundaries? What am I going to accept to do now in order to live that way in the future?
So you're saying either way, if you want something different than what you currently have, probably short-term you're going to have to make some sacrifice. Probably short-term you're going to have to do more than you're doing currently. Maybe even longer term, you're going to have to change the way you are currently living in order to reach those different goals.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's dial it in even closer. Let's dial it in even more here. Because you were just talking about working possibly 60 hours, possibly 80 hours, possibly 100 hours. Now, that's not necessarily sustainable for most people, 100 hours a week. But I've been there, and it was actually, you know what? It was actually fun for a while because of you're excited about building this thing, right? And it was a short time period where literally for entire 2 or 3 months, it was 116 hours of scheduled work. And that's what it was when we were first getting Thrive off the platform or off the ground here. But let's talk about, it's not just about okay, I'm putting in hours. Here's a Tim Ferriss quote here. Being busy is a form of laziness. lazy thinking, and discriminate action. What's he talking about here, Marshall?
Yeah, so he's saying that being busy, being perpetually busy and always busy, if you want to be busy and that is your goal, good for you. You've done it. But what he's saying that is a lot of people become busy and claim they want time freedom, and because you are just constantly busy, it's lazy thinking. It's not moving forward. It's not proactive thinking for how you can improve the system, and indiscriminate action, which is basically just being busy for the sake of being busy rather than execution and getting things done in order to get ahead. So he argues that if you want that time freedom, then you got to improve upon yourself and your schedule in order to have that time freedom.
So it's possible to work 60 hours a week or 80 hours a week and not be working on the stuff that actually moves the needle for your business, and then not really do much.
Yeah.
Being busy is a form of laziness, lazy thinking.
Yeah.
Wow. Here's Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz, only college football coach to lead 6 different programs to bowl games, only coach to guide 4 different programs to the final top 20 rankings. Most known for his time at Notre Dame, says winners embrace hard work. They love the discipline of it, the trade-off they're making to win. Losers, on the other hand, see it as a punishment, and that's the difference. One key phrase in there, they love the discipline of it and the trade-off that they're making to win. You just talked about short-term sacrifices a little bit a second ago. What is Lou Holtz talking about here?
Lou Holtz is talking about you got to, if you want to have that winning mindset, then you got to embrace the hard work. You got to embrace the suck. One of the Thrive 15 mentors, Mickey Mahalik, he talks about embracing the suck, embracing the process. And when you make it about the process and you see the process as the hard work in order to get to the goal, then you embrace that process. But when you see the hard work as punishment or a penalty within your organization or within your business or within the team, then you're going to have this aversion to the hard work, and nobody will be successful if they are always trying to avoid the hard work.
I also liked that he specified the trade-off of what was required to win. What's required to win? Well, if you're a football coach or you're a football player, you probably have to lift a lot of weights, probably have to run a lot, probably have to watch some film, probably have to study your opponent, probably have to work on your route running, probably have to work on the way you throw the ball, probably work on your mechanics. And then there's also practice, and there's also playing the game.
That's right.
Those are the trade-offs of what it takes to win. So in your business, what are the trade-offs that you need to make to win? You have to determine those. Seth Godin here, best-selling author, marketing expert, business thought leader, says the art of good decision-making is looking forward to and celebrating the trade-offs, not pretending they don't exist. And I think this is potentially a little bit of a wake-up call here for some entrepreneurs, for some business builders out there. Marshall, have you seen this before where people have an idea? They're like, I'm going to build a business. Going into business for myself, I'm going to build something huge. It's going to be awesome. But then they aren't willing to make those trade-offs. They're not willing to invest in themselves, not willing to invest the work or the time or the thought process of learning their business. They aren't willing to make those trade-offs. They see this glorious exit point on this highway. They see the end. Like this is what it's going to look like at the end. And they're here at the beginning, and they're not willing to do the stuff in between to get to that exit. Do you see this?
Yeah, sometimes with these business owners, they just see the glory and they don't see the process. They don't see the part of the iceberg that's underneath the water, but there's all this hard work that's below the surface of the water. And so you've got to understand that, and you've got to go into your business and go into whatever position that you're working in, understanding that behind all of the glory is a lot of this hard work and discipline and perseverance. And so understand that is just part of the process. That is the barrier to entry. That's something that you have to embrace with every single part of your business.
The art of good decision making is looking forward to and celebrating trade-offs, not pretending they don't exist. So step 3 here was define what you're willing to do to achieve your ideal lifestyle and schedule. So what kind of trade-offs are you willing to make to get there? Step 4, define what you are willing to say no to. Purchases, habits, etc. Here's Wayne Dyer, American philosopher, self-help author, motivational speaker. His first book is one of the best-selling books of all time, Your Erroneous Zones. Estimated 35 million copies sold to date. He said, freedom means you are unobstructed in living your life as you choose. Anything less is a form of slavery. Here's Tim Ferriss. He says, to enjoy life, you don't need fancy nonsense, but you do need to control your time and realize that most things just aren't as serious as you make them out to be. Marshall, what is Wayne and Tim talking about here on the subject of defining what you're willing to say no to help you get closer to your ideal life?
Yeah, so what everybody needs to do right now is get out a piece of paper or get out on your phone, or if you're listening to a podcast, once you get into the office, you're listening in your car right now, but you need to make a list of everything that you're going to say no to. Steve Jobs, he talks about focus is not saying yes to the one thing, it's saying no to the thousands of things that you could be doing. And he's just as proud of the things that he's said no to as the things that he's said yes to. So for you and for every other business owner out there, you need to make a list of things you're going to say no to. No to coffee dates, no to going and getting lunch, no to going out with friends and getting dinner when you could be at home spending time with the family, saying no to going out during the week so that your next work day is unproductive. You got to say no to certain things in your life in order to achieve that long-term success. So you got to ask yourself, what are the things that you have to say no to? What habits do you have to say no to? What luxuries do you have to say no to? What short-term gains do you have to say no to in order to get to that long-term success? So make a list of your top 5 things that you're going to say no to, and that is a good framework in which to start for managing your time more effectively and defining how you want to spend your time and living a more happy life.
I forget who it was that made that the quote was from, but whoever it was, paraphrase here, talked about saying no to good things so that there's room for great. So maybe going out and hanging out with your friends during the week is fun. It's good. Friendship is good. Having a good time is good. Having fun is good. But if your mission is to be ultimately productive the next day, and you need to be productive to move your business forward, well, then it's not great. So maybe you have to give up the good to get to the great. Or maybe there's a TV show that you really, really like, and binge watching that this entire weekend is going to be good. You're going to enjoy that time. Cool, nothing wrong with that. But maybe you need to, okay, the trade-off I need to make is this weekend I actually need to be putting together that new marketing plan. So I have to give up the good. It's not necessarily bad, it's good, but you have to give up the good to get to the great. So step 4 is defining what you are willing to say no to. You've already identified, here are the 6 key points of my life. Here's the goals I want to hit in those things to make me ultimately happy. How am I going to get there? Well, on step 4 here, these are the things I have to say no to, the good things or maybe bad things, but at least things that aren't great that I need to say no to get to space where there is room for great. And that was step 4. We're going to continue on to step 5 in the next episode here. Marshall, we've made it through the first 4 of the 13 steps of becoming a successful and proactive person. Anything else for the people at home here before we sign off?
Oh my gosh, step 5 is amazing. I just read ahead and you're going to love it.
There you go. It's a teaser. Step 5. So come back for episode 85, whether you're listening or watching. Come back for episode 85. Over there on my left, Marshall Morris. Over here, Daniel McKenna. We will see you on episode 85 and part 2 of the 13 steps to becoming a successful and proactive person. Boom.